hasn't had too many problems with his opponent in the pink trunks, Simon Collins from Merthyr, the 23-year-old. If anything, Collins is starting to pick up in confidence and is throwing a lot more punches, certainly at the end of that last round and at the start of this one, than he had done in the previous four. That's getting untidy. Right by Story. And again. Well, that's given the crowd here in the King's Hall in Belfast a little bit more to cheer about. A lot of blood on the face of Story. Some of it has come, I think, from the face of Simon Collins. Story has got cuts now on both cheeks. The left at the end of the last round, and this round the right has gone as well. Story sinking a good right hand into the ribs. That was a better short left. Collins has certainly come back into this. Story would be reasonably comfortably ahead. But Collins is making the British super middleweight champion really work. So a better round from the Welshman, Simon Collins. He's been in with one or two more than useful boxers. It didn't last too long though against Michael Watson. Back in July of 1986, he was stopped in one round, and he lost also to another more than useful boxer, Chris Eubanks, in four just over a year ago in the York Hall in Bethnal Green. But he's giving Sam Story one or two problems. Barney Eastwood in the corner, and I'm sure there's a little bit of anxiety in that corner about those cuts. Story, a nasty little nick under the left eye, and the right cheekbone too has been more than grazed, and there's still a little blob of blood just coming out, and Barney Eastwood covering it up with some grease.
Second time. Round 6.
Oh, Sam Story, the British super middleweight champion, nicked under both eyes. Nothing that he's going to worry terribly about at this stage. Good solid punching from the Ulsterman. So he's trying to go with the right to the body. Collins dropping his left elbow and blocking it most of the time. Story getting in, good combination, right and then left. He's a pretty sturdy character, Simon Collins. right from Story, who is still occasionally getting caught. Story, apart from the two little nicks on either cheekbone, is quite badly marked. A lot of puffiness and redness around his face. A minute to go to the end of this one. Story still having trouble getting through a pretty tight defense. Collins responding and then covering up again, and Collins is cut himself, and Story has got him under pressure. Collins cut under the right eye, and that seems to have just increased Sam Story's momentum, although he did take a right hand, and the Belfast man really grimaced there because he walked onto that. That's rather nasty. Barney Wilson is having a look at the face of Simon Collins, and really underneath that eye is a very, very nasty cut. My Story is really no more than grazed, but Collins is split right across the top of the cheekbone. Doesn't seem to bother him, mind you. Good punching by the Welshman. But that is a very, very nasty cut indeed, and he really strides back to his corner like a gladiator. He knows that he's very bloody, certainly unbowed, and the corner are going to have to do an awful lot to try to stem that. It just suddenly opened up with about a minute remaining of the last round, and that's a nasty cut. But if anything, Rod Douglas, I think Simon Collins seems to be sort of upping the pace slightly, and he's giving Sam Story a pretty difficult contest.
Yes, he knows he's cut now, so he's got to step the pace up or do something a little bit drastic to swing the fight. I say the classic way to beat a southpaw is to throw the right hand followed by the left hook, and he hasn't done it yet.
Well, that is really look as if it's been done by a razor blade. Sliced right across. Had it been over the eye, then there would have been no question about that being stopped, but it looks nasty enough. But this is a very, very game man, and from starting off looking fairly pedestrian, he really has lifted the pace of anything.
Round 7.
Well, Sam Story looks to be winning this contest reasonably comfortably, but he'll want to impress simply from his own peace of mind. Little bang of heads. Every so often Collins just suddenly comes out from behind the defence and catches Story. Still there, and Story still tagging him. Again, the heads bang together. I can almost sense Sam Story thinking to himself that how am I going to get through this defence? That look a bit low from the Belfast boxer. That cut has opened up again on the right cheekbone of Simon Collins. Good long hard look, and Barney Wilson has decided, well, I think that was fair enough, because I don't think he was ever going to stop Sam Story, and he certainly wasn't going to win it in points, and there wasn't a great deal to be gained by letting the contest go on to allow Collins, who's got a bit of a nick underneath the left eye as well, to go on. So Sam Story, the reigning British super middleweight champion, makes it 14 victories out of 15 contests, and that is a pretty tough warm-up fight for his forthcoming defense against James Cook.
Ladies and gentlemen, one. Mr. Barney Wilson. Second time, round one.
An important contest this for Belfast Ray Close in the white trunks. He's up against Dennis Cronin, the 27-year-old from Caerphilly, the only man to have beaten Close, who's the reigning Irish super middleweight champion. He lost to Cronin in Kirby, just outside Liverpool, on the 13th of December last. It was only a 4-rounder. And Close, the man who turned professional because the Irish Olympic selectors didn't choose him to go to the Seoul Olympic Games, is very anxious to avenge that defeat by a very chunky and solidly built Dennis Cronin from Caerphilly. Close, 10 contests, 9 wins, and only that reverse to Cronin. Cronin has won 10 of his 18 contests. 9 of those have been inside the distance. Solid left hand by the Welshman. And Close's cut, there's a slight cut underneath his left eye. Doesn't look terribly serious, but that's not certainly what he wants in this, the opening round. Good left by Close, didn't quite make the contact he would have wanted. Close, just 21 in January. Was for 2 successive years the Ulster and Irish middleweight champion, and had every reason to be quite disgruntled when he didn't go to Seoul. Putting good right hands from the Belfast boxer. Trickle of blood coming now from the left nostril of Dennis Cronin, 1985 ABA middleweight champion, turned professional in November of that year. So both with very good amateur records, both champions of their countries. Close the last time out had a points win over Frank Eubanks, that in the Ulster Hall here in Belfast. Was put down in the 5th and boxed, for everybody's liking and his in particular, far too casually. Good busy first round. That's Dennis Cronin, the 27-year-old. That's the blood being wiped from his nose by his corner. Lost his first professional fight to Gary Tomlinson in Cardiff, and then won the next 7, all of them inside the distance, including his contest for the vacant Welsh middleweight title He beat Steve Davies, stopping him in 2 rounds in Newport of January 1987. As Raymond, nothing comes close, as he's known. This causes a fair degree of amusement. Bernardo Checa from Panama, who's ever present in the eastward corner, is administering some grease. Little nick underneath the left eye of the Belfast man, but nothing to worry about. Raymond Close in the white, and in the red it's Dennis Cronin from Caerphilly. Cronin comes here off a defeat, having lost in the Star Centre in Cardiff to the very impressive Chris Eubanks, who stopped him in 3 rounds. He's had another stoppage by another pretty useful boxer, one Gary Stretch no less. But took Stretch the distance, 8 rounds in London of December 1987. Seems to be a greater sense of urgency in Ray Close's boxing than there certainly was 5 weeks ago against Frank Eubanks. Close, an inch or so taller, and enjoying a very definite reach advantage. Close won his Irish super middleweight title in October of last year, stopping Rocky McGran, who'd had an unsuccessful attempt at taking the Irish middleweight title against Sam Story a couple of years previously. A minute remaining in the second. Good combination from Close. And early days though it may be, Close is boxing much, much better than he did in his last outing, and indeed when he and Cronin last met. Solid right from Close. These two have set a fairly brisk pace, and it has been a good contest. Oh, left hand. Well, that got close. And well, he looked a little bit disorientated, Raymond Close, at the end of that round. There he is. He had a rather disturbing habit as an amateur of dropping his guard, and he did get caught occasionally. And this is exactly what happened to him at the end of that round. So Close, having looked very comfortable indeed, suddenly got caught with a nice left hook from Cronin. Yes, he knows exactly what went wrong. Cronin, the blood from his nose just being stemmed. Took a few good shots from Close, but came back well and put the Belfast man on the seat of his pants. So this is the making of a very good contest. So how much did that left hook from Dennis Cronin, the man in the red shorts, really affect Raymond Close, the Belfast boxer in white? and again from close, but Cronin is very, very strong. Better from close. Good action from Ray Close. Close being quite sensible and tending, apart from that occasion at the end of the last round when he got caught, to keep out of the way of Cronin. Cronin quite short and stocky for a super middle. It's being outreached by Close, which is the way the Belfast round one would want to keep it. A little nick under the left eye of Raymond Close, which appeared in the first round. Has stayed close. Some good work by the corner. Oh, that was better by Raymond Close. The left followed up by the right. And Cronin did wobble, and Close wanted to press home the advantage, but Close is cut once again. He's got a lot of bruising underneath his right eye this time, and the cut seems to be beside the nose. Blood really just smeared underneath the right eye of Raymond Close. Clash of heads at the end of this round. What a good round that was. Paddy Byrne, one of the best cutsmen in the business, trying to stem the flow of blood from that little cut. Not a bad round that from Raymond Close. He did put together some nice pieces of boxing, which staggered the sturdily built Welshman. There was a very good left hook and a right to follow up, and Cronin wobbled, and it says much for his strength and durability that he stayed up. Oh, look at that again. That was very good, and the right to follow, and both of them really made with the knuckle part of the glove, both good contacts, and that speaks volumes for Dennis Cronin. Well, anxious moments perhaps in the corner, underneath the eyes. So Raymond Close not really having too many problems. But the last thing he wants at this stage is to drop another decision to Dennis Cronin. Over only 4 rounds on their first meeting in December the 13th, an unlucky night for Raymond Close, and a bit of wrestling. Both of them grin. Well, that's nice to see. And Close lost the decision very narrowly on points. Jabbing from Close. He was a very talented amateur boxer. He's covered up well. Cronin has done well. He's worked Close round into the Belfast man's corner, but Close managed to escape. Better round this from Close. Left and right from the Irish super middleweight champion, Raymond Close. Does all his best work, Close, when he's moving away from Cronin. It's certainly the best round so far for Ray Close. Paddy Byrne surveys his handiwork of the previous interval, and it's done very well indeed. Raymond Close, the second super middleweight boxer in the Eastwood stable, the better known perhaps being Sammy Storey, who's the reigning British champion. Raymond Close, the reigning Irish champion. But that face getting some attention. And Cronin too, plenty of grease around the nose and around the eyes. But otherwise, well, he's not really marked at all. Apart from that one left hook, he hasn't been able to close Raymond Close down and get into him at short range. Four good rounds we've had. Raymond Close does not want to mix it with Dennis Cronin. He's done his best work behind that very nice, crisp, orthodox left jab. And the corner just saying jab, jab, jab.